Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Swamiji started today's class off with a brilliant poem. I'm just going to paraphrase it here. Search for the destination beyond the destination. If you find a river, then search for the sea. If mirrors are broken by stones, then find a mirror that breaks the stone. I'll read it one more time. Search for the destination beyond the destination. If you find a river, then search for the sea. If mirrors are broken by stones, then find a mirror that breaks the stone. So what do they mean by this? Until you have a body, until you are embodied, don't leave satsang. Until enlightenment happens, don't stop. Search for the destination beyond the destination. If you've accumulated a lot of things and you've done everything that the world says you're supposed to do, that's not the destination. There's something beyond. If mirrors are broken by stones, then find a mirror that breaks the stone. The stone is your primal ignorance, and the mirror is the guru and the gyan that they give you to show you who you are. And the stone of ignorance breaks. Basically, you have to find a mirror in this world that shows you who you are so that you can no longer be broken. So many things in our lives, they break us. We thought we were this, and then we're completely dissolved. We're broken by different types of stones. Then find a mirror that's clean enough to show you who you are, so that once you know, you can never be broken again. The Guru shows you who you are, so that the stone of ignorance can no longer break you. So continuing on with Sidh Gosht, we did a little recap of a question you covered yesterday. Gyan ki mudra kavan kathiyale. What is the form of gyan? And the answer to that was akalpat mudra gur gyan bichariyale. That it's akalpat, thoughtless awareness, that is actually the form of gyan. Knowing only, no targets, for example. In this world, we know via a 3-step version of knowing. Knower, knowing, and the target, the known. Meaning everything that we know, there is some type of target that we're knowing, right? The cup is there, someone's speaking to me, I'm looking at a screen, I'm hearing things, sounds are my target, so forth. But let's say you close your eyes and you close your ears and someone tells you, just sit there. So what happens then? A thought comes and the thought becomes the target, or a dream starts happening, or an imagination starts happening, that becomes the target. But if someone says, okay, no dreams, no thoughts, nothing, typically a person falls asleep. And then not knowing becomes the target. All of the knowing that we do in Maya is a targeted knowing. And it's a weak type of knowing because it depends on the target. Basically, what's happening here is you're depending on a target to keep you awake. Phones. And this has become worse in today's age because there are so many different targets that we're actually getting desensitized to targets. So we need something bigger, more flashy, more interesting to keep us awake. Where spirituality is the reverse of this, where spirituality is trying to keep you awake without the target. It is trying to reinforce your consciousness so that you realize actually you are consciousness. Right now, you're falling more into sleep and you're depending so much on your target to keep you awake. But akalpat, or what actually gyan is where it's just pure consciousness. There's no target there. In fact, When Swamiji says it's thoughtless awareness, in pure Gyan, you don't even recognize, oh, I'm conscious right now. That's not what happens. I'm conscious means that the I is still there. There is still a basal thought of I am conscious. Not even that exists. Pure consciousness. You are not there anymore. What you call yourself right now is not there. You are just pure awakeness. And that is completely freeing. That is the form of Gyan, where only Prakash remains, not even what you call you remains. And then Swamiji here said, even just knowing this much, or how much we've read so far, completely invigorates a person. In fact, this is how you should go about your spiritual journey. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा खुद से पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. We have so much resolve on this pathway, and keep this statement in your head all the time, no matter what obstacle you face. No matter what happens, I am going to get moved. No matter what happens, in nishtha, a prem yukt nishtha, that I will not stop until I get moved. I will not stop until I have Vaheguru's darshan. I'm not stopping till it happens, and my intensity isn't going to decrease. My intensity is going to increase. I'm ready to put all on the line, and I won't be stopped by an obstacle. Rather, I won't even be misdirected by an obstacle. I know what I want, and I'm going to get it. And whatever I have to do for it, I'll do. I have to lose my ego. I have to do things that my mind may not want to, but because I'm listening to the Guru, I'll do it. If I have to go through uncomfortable situations, I'll do it. If I have to bear a loss or a separation, or I have to be in discomfort for this, I'll do it. But my resolve is not going away. I'm not stopping until I get this. Then Khuda, or the universe, responds and says, what do you want? Your intensity is so strong that I have to fulfill what you're asking me for. And then you get it. So be strong, be bold, be confident on this pathway. You can do this. In fact, you're here in a human body because you can do it. A Sakhi that Swamiji shared with us here was of a Mastana Fakir Sikh who came to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji outside the doors. And he's just, in this drunken state where he's saying, is there someone who can unite Jani with Jani? His name was Jani. And he says, is there someone who can unite Jani with Jani? Jani, the word means life giver. Is there someone who can unite Jani with Jani? Yeah, his name was Jani Shah. Guru and the Sikhs come and they say, there's a person outside yelling, can someone unite Jani with Jani? Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji says, you know what? Here's a bag of gold bars, go give it to him. And the Sikhs come, they say, here, take it, now go. Because you know how sometimes outside of your house, maybe in India, if someone comes, sits in the corner, starts making noise, you're like, yo, what do you want? Here, go now. So gold bars. And then Jani says, this? No. I'm not here for this because my destination is something else. I want something that is the most valuable. Not this. Not this. So he makes the Sikh go back and they tell Guruji that he doesn't want the golden bars. He says he wants something more valuable. And the Guru says, oh, really? Tell him to go jump in a well. They come outside, they're like, listen, our Guru has said that if you want something more valuable than this, go jump in a well. And Jani says, okay, let me go jump in a well. He goes and jumps in the well and he's hurt and banged up everywhere. The Sikhs tell him, oh, Jani went and jumped in a well. And the Guru smiles and says, go bring him back here. And then he comes, Mata takes to the Guru, and Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji looks at him intensely and says, Jani, if you want the most valuable thing, it's not on the outside. It's inside of you, your heart. Rather, it is your form. Jani, you are the Jani that you're looking for. Hey, Jani, you are the Jani that you're looking for. And at that moment, because his mind was Shuddh, there was only the Gyan of the Guru that was required. He goes, has Prakash. And then he starts dancing and yelling, Jani ko Jani mil gaya. Jani has been united with Jani. Jani has been united with Jani. And then on his way, he leaves again. So basically, the punchline of that story was that he went and jumped in the well. That was where everything changed. When the Guru says, go jump in a well, it sounds like, well, what does that have to do with being more? That's going to kill me. That's not going to be more valuable. What am I going to get from that? Sometimes the Guru does vachans and you're thinking, what? That makes no sense. How's that supposed to help me? But still, you put the mind aside and you do it anyways. And then the Guru reveals, this is what I wanted to give you. And I needed your mind to be aside for me to give that to you. So I'll put anything on the line, but I'm not stopping until I meet my Jani. Second question. Oh, yeah. Ghat Ghat Kavan Nivaso. Who is in all hearts? What sees all, hears all, what walks, what's doing the talking, what tastes, what resides in every core? And the answer Guruji gave was Ghat Ghat Sacha Sarvajiya. The ultimate truth resides in all hearts. Basically, if you want a visual for this, in this holographic illusion that we're living in, your very core is real. Even though everything else is a hologram, it's an illusion, it doesn't have an inherent realness to it, your core is real. It's not holographic. It's not an illusion. What you are is not fake. In fact, it is the only thing in the cosmos, in the holographic cosmos, that's real is your core. And when you look at other people, you see their body, and if you interact with them a little bit more, you might know their personality. But their bodies are holographic and illusions. Personalities are illusions. Their movements are illusions. Space and time is an illusion. But their core, your core, and every core is the same pure consciousness reality. Our operating core is real. Your self, what you actually are, what you feel when you're sitting in front of the screen, I am. You know that you exist, and you are aware that you are a knower. This aspect of you is real. And the more purified version of this, without all of the distractions, that is Ghata Ghata Sacha Sarvajiya. The realness resides at your core. It's not fake there, it's real. Bulle Shah states in his poetry, they say, Apne aapnu samajh pehle. First, understand yourself and forget others. A lot of times we're interested in what does your son do, what does your daughter do, or what happened, some spicy stuff or whatever. Unnecessary to your life. And Swamiji calls this, hey, I'll give you my garbage and you give me your garbage. Let's exchange garbage. Let's do the business of garbage. Instead of doing the business of Satya, we do the business of garbage. Swamiji is saying, and the Guru Sahibans and Gurbani say, that if you have a worthy conversation, have a useful conversation, then you have to have it with a realized one. A realized one is not someone who simply just wears all white or wears all blue or wears all red or all bagwa or has a dastar or looks a certain way, but it's someone who knows their true form and sees that form in all. Bullhe then continues, ki vast hai tera roop pyare, apne aap nu samajh pehle ki vast hai tera roop pyare. What are you? Like really, what are you? What is you that someone else didn't give you? That your parents didn't give you, or your friends didn't give you, or your nation, your race, your community, a group didn't give you? What are you originally without all of that stuff? And Bullhe Shah continues the poem saying, without knowing yourself, life is painful at every moment. Because someone's going to poke some aspect of you that you're identifying with, and it's not always going to go your way. Someone's going to poke you somewhere. You're going to be on the wrong side of some identity at some point in your life. They're saying it's going to be painful at every moment. And then they go on to say, Atam Gyan, or self-realization, is the only way to permanent bliss. And he says, I've asked everyone worthy of asking, the saints, the avatars, the prophets, and through my own personal experience, this is what I've come to know, that until you know yourself, there is no peace. And what is there to know about yourself? Sukhrup akhand chetan hai tu, Bullhe Shah pukar da Ved chare. He's like, you want to know the essence of all four Vedas, of every possible Adhyatam Shastra, of every possible word uttered by an avatar, saint, prophet, or an enlightened one? This is their essence. Sukhrup akhand chetan hai tu. You are bliss, unbroken consciousness, a blissful, completely emancipated, unbroken consciousness, and you're that right now. You don't have to wait for this transformation to happen to you. Even that's an illusion. You are this right now. You just have to remember. You just have to, everything that you're not, you have to dump out, and this you have to take on. So that what happens, you realize, I'm already this. Number 3, Kal ka thinga kyo jalayale? How do I burn the axe of death? Because it's looming on my head. There's a Sakhi Swamiji told, there was a king who had a dream, and in his dream, someone put their hand on his shoulder. So he turns back and says, who are you? And the person says, I'm death. And I've come to get you, but not yet. The right place at the right time. The right place at the right time. And the dream breaks. And the king calls all his ministers and says, look, I had this dream. It felt really real. I'm a little scared. I don't want to die. What do I do? And these ministers and so-called religious authority figures say, listen, where did the dream happen? It happened in my castle. So then run away on horseback right now and go to as far of a forest that you can go to, and as dense of a forest that you can go to, and stay there for a while. He didn't bother eating. He didn't bother taking anything with him. He took his horse and started running as fast as he possibly could. A day or so later, completely just running, comes to a dense forest, and at its center, he finally ties his horse. And he starts to lay down, and he feels that presence, that hand on his shoulder again. And he turns, and Death says, I'm here. Thank you for making it to the right place. And right on time, I must say. The reason I visited you was I was a little concerned that the place of your death and the time of your death, I mean, the place is so far away, and we only have a few hours until it happens. But thank you for making it easy for me. The right place at the right time. And Death came and took him. You can't cheat death. No one in history has been able to. It's coming. It's looming. Time is running out for you. Your birthday is an indication that you have one less year. So every time you celebrate your birthday, make sure something pops, have this very monotonous, robotic voice say to you, one less year. Time is running out. because that's actually the truth. It's not a celebration. In fact, I feel like we celebrate it because subconsciously we know that we're getting older and we have less time. We got to cover it up. Answer, Gur Bachani Avgat Samaya. How do we get beyond death? The Guru's Gyan burns death. Rather, I would like to say the Guru's Gyan burns deathness. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I'd like to say it this way because what the Guru's Gyan does is it eradicates birthness and deathness completely. The things that are prone to birthness or prone to birth and death, if you are too close to them, such that their aspects are being superimposed onto you, then you're going to think that you're being birthed and that you're prone to dying. But if you manage in this lifetime with the Guru's grace and Gyan to distance enough from the things that are prone to birth and death, such that you realize who you are and their qualities are no longer superimposed on you, then you will realize I am immortal. I have never taken birth, and there is not a single weapon, no fire, no body of water, no wind that can kill me. I'm unkillable, if you want to say it that way. The Guru's Gyan, the Guru's direction does this for us. A Sakhi that Swamiji told here was Guruji wanted to cross a river and they were looking for a boat. They had a few disciples with them. So they went to the boat yard and they're asking, who can take me across? 3 people come say, look, it's my boat. Whose boat is this? Oh, it's my boat. I'll take you across. Oh, it's my boat. I'll take you across. There was a 4th boatsman there standing, and he was smiling because he recognized the Guru. He looked Guru's way and he knew that's Bhagwan. And as the Guru came towards him, the Guruji says, whose boat is this? And the 4th man, whose name was Paiseda, said, this is your boat. And the Guru says, oh, this is my boat? All right, then, let's get on it. And so he gives he tells his disciples to get on, they get on. So what happens, Paiseda, when he starts to drive, you know how this is a river and you're just supposed to cross? What Paiseda starts to do is he starts to go this way, and he starts to go this way, he starts to go this way. He's not crossing the river straight, he's like twisting and turning. And Guruji's saying, Paiseda, what are you doing? I mean, we would have been on the other side by now. You just took 2 random turns for no reason. And Paiseda says, Guruji, hey Bhagwan, you put me in this cycle of 84 million life cycles. And I've been cycling in birth and death for so long. When the destination's pretty straightforward, it's pretty straight. But here I am cycling, and I've been doing it for a while. I took you on 2 wrong sideways turns, and you started complaining. And Guruji starts laughing and says, okay. Because Guruji understands that he's recognizing who I am as well. So Guruji's also smiling. And he says, okay. And then, Tanya tu said that Tanya hai, but let's go across the river. So then they finally reach the other side of the river. And Guruji says, okay, how much for the ride? And Siddha says, listen, let's trade services instead. If one person's a barber, then he doesn't ask the other barber for money. They just trade services, that kind of stuff. And he says, okay, how do we do that? He said, we're both boatsmen. We both take people across. I got you across the river. Why don't you help me get across the world ocean? Trade services. And then Guruji smiles and he says, Siddha, you're Tanya, it's done. I accept the deal. Right? The Guru is God. Siddha's greatness is that where the other 3 boatsmen saw a human, Siddha didn't see human. He saw divine. Where the other boatsmen thought, this is just another person who needs to be ferried across, Siddha said, that one even though he looks like a human, that one can help me get across the world. The Guru is God. There is no difference. There is no angelic music that's going to part golden ray lights on your head. That's not God. Your Guru is God. There is no difference. And in their hukam, enlightenment happens. Fourth question. How do I get to the home of fearlessness? How do I become fearless regardless of circumstance, even in torture, bodily pain, loss, separation? I remain fearless and at peace. How do I get to such a state? Answer, Tat Niranjana Sahajandahi. By finding the ultimate essence, Tat, or English translation, that, it's an indication of God, beyond all opacity, beyond all blockage, beyond all ignorance, and in a very natural easiness. There is no more fear. You have to find Tat Niranjan, and when you find Tattva, it becomes easy. There is no resistance, there is no problem, there is no conflict. The body, far away. The mind, far away. Anything that can be prone to pain or killed, far away. I merely watch as if it was happening to somebody else. It doesn't ever happen to me. And this state, it's not a state where you have to try hard and think about it and be like, okay, I'm separate. It's not going to hurt me. Let's say someone is getting a paper cut and you're thinking, oh, it's not going to hurt me. I'm not the body. That's a lot of effort. That's really hard. That's not happening easily right now. But upon enlightenment, it's very easy. As if there's no thinking about it. It's just how you are. That's what they mean by Sahaj. Question number 5. Sahaj Santokh ka asana jana. How do I recognize this natural easiness, the state of no conflict, no resistance? And how do I get to this natural contentment? Because I try to be content. I try to say, okay, you know what? I have enough. But a couple moments later, a day later, something wells up inside of me and says, look, you need this thing. You need this. Or you need to do this. You absolutely need to do this. And I'm not talking about the stuff that you need for upkeep of the body, but things like you meet a person, you went to high school with this person, and this person is now a millionaire. And your inside starts welling up. Even though you've got everything you need, oh, I need to be more. I need to show face. I need to make sure that people can think that I was equally as successful. I need to do more. This kind of stuff traps you because you're perfectly fine. And so is the person is perfectly fine. Different trajectories, sure. But that doesn't make you more worthy or less worthy or comparable to each other, rather. The world might think that, but in essence, it doesn't have anything to do with that. How happy are both of you? That's what's going to matter. And don't think that the person with more money is more happy. In fact, scientists or psychologists who study how much happiness money brings us, when they study this, what happens is after a certain amount of money, the return on happiness with each additional chunk of money that you earn actually goes down. The richer that you get isn't actually going to turn into more and more happiness. Happiness peaks when the money that you have is good enough to fulfill your basal requirements and not have you worry about money. So your health is taken care of, your education, and income is happening where you're able to, satisfy what you need, that kind of stuff. But after that limit and threshold, money doesn't bring happiness. So yes, you should be making money for that basal level so that you're not worried and constantly thinking about money. But this other stuff that the world starts to put on top of you, you're not this, you're not doing enough on this, blah, blah, blah. Look, compare to this guy, look at your cousin doing so much better. Oh, remember, what am I going to tell your pindale? They were supposed to think that you became such a big man and you're not such a big man, blah, blah, blah. That stuff is going to trap you. That's going to break you apart. So stay away from that. How do I get to this natural contentment where I'm not comparing myself to everybody and all that stuff? And the next question related to this, how do I overcome these enemies, these adversaries inside of me that consistently take me away from my core and make me get very chanchal? And the Guru answers, Gur ka sabad, how main bikhamare, ta nij kar hoga vaso. Look, I'm not saying it, but again and again, you keep hearing Guru Nanak Dev Ji's answer being, become a Gurmukh, become a Guru Sikh, listen to the Guru, Gur ka sabad, kama the sabad. These are not my opinions. The Guru is saying this. Why the same answer for so many different questions? Because the question is merely one. You're having a problem with your core identity, and that can only be solved with the Guru's teachings. You can list out your problems in different ways, but the very core problem is that you're having a problem with who you are. And only the Guru's teaching is going to fix that. With the Guru's teachings and keeping what they've taught, applying it and keeping it as a priority, their words give us the courage to let go. Remember the first question was, how do I come into natural easiness? The Guru says, 1 second, let go. Nothing is going to happen bad to you if you let go. Just stop. Controlling everything. Stop holding your reins so tightly. This world was functioning perfectly when you weren't here. And this world is going to function perfectly when you're not here. So stop thinking that you're so important here. Let go. There's a trajectory that's taking care of you already. In fact, everything that has happened to you up until now has been happening through that trajectory. Stop being the doer. Stop thinking that you're so damn important to the equation of life. You're not. Get rid of your ego. This poison that you've accumulated inside of your head, all these poisons of identity, of I'm important or I'm necessary for the flow of life to happen, you need to get rid of these poisons. The Guru slowly seeps into you if you let them. Remember, you being open is equally, rather more important, so that the Guru can get to you. So when they start to say, stop, back off, let go. And that starts to already, if not the full and final contentment, starts to bring easiness back into our lives. Right? And then, how main bikhamare. Your biggest problem is your ego. In fact, every point, I'm not talking about taking care of your body, having food on the table, that kind of stuff. You need it because you want to function in the body. But everything else, all comparisons, all feelings of I'm not worthy or feelings of I'm way more worthy, these are all related to your ego. Either it's getting inflated or it's getting hurt. Somewhere that's the problem. And that is going to be destroyed. That basal poison is going to be destroyed by the Guru. In fact, it can only be destroyed by the Guru. Because if you sit here and think I'm going to listen to myself, well, you're not going to get rid of yourself by listening to yourself. It's just going to get stronger. Your sense of the fake self is going to get stronger. But when the Guru tells you to do something, and it's more valuable when the Guru tells you to do something that your mind doesn't want to do. What happens is your mind goes into this state of anxiousness and frenzy and says, and this virodhi bhav starts to well up. And what do? You put that thing aside and you still do it. Then the mind starts to lose its shakti. It starts to lose its non-purity. What's the thing, and why do we say should the mind or the man maran lag gaya? Why do we say this? The thing that starts to die when we say man mar gaya is the ego inside of the mind. And when the ego starts to die, naturally, the mind is becoming more and more pure. Less and less opacity, less and less blockage, less and less ignorance. And when a pure mind receives the final Mahavakya of the Guru, it happens. Enlightenment happens. It also happens with your eyes open. It happens with your eyes closed. It's happened to people while they were going to the washroom. I'm not kidding. Enlightenment has happened in certain circumstances to people that were going to the washroom, to people that were milking a cow. Person was just merely as one Shishya of Buddha, he was starting to go to sleep and it happened. So he runs back to Buddha and says, "You didn't tell me that it was going to happen tonight? It happened." Anytime. But this ego problem in there, that has to be destroyed. And you have to go beyond Vishan knowing. I talked about this earlier in today's class. You have to go beyond sense-based knowing. And you have to come to a place of senseless knowing. You have to come to a place of targetless knowing, pure consciousness. You have to be awake without anything keeping you awake, as if it was your very form. Do you see how everything is starting to come together? And if you do what the Guru says, you come in your sadhana so that awakeness is your form, not something keeping you awake, but because you are awakeness, then you reside in your real inner home. Today, finally, Swamiji ends off with a poem, and they say, with hard work and effort, life happens. But if the direction is wrong, then life can go from being heaven to hell. And if the direction of the effort and the hard work is right, then life can go from being hell to heaven. And the one giving you direction, you want it to be somebody who knows life, who knows how to live, who lives and resides in heaven. You want that person to give you direction, not other people who are living in hell and they give you direction on how to live your life, but a person who's living in heaven, that person give you direction to your life. And with your own efforts and your hard work, you can make your life into heaven. So I'm going to restate the first poem. Search for the destination beyond the destination. If you find a river, then search for the sea. If mirrors are broken by stones, then find a mirror that breaks the stone. Lao Tse or Lao Tzu, Kabir, Buddha, Sarmad, Farid, you can reach the state that they've gone to. So be bold, be confident, and go. Believe in yourself. So that's it for today. Please forgive me for my mistakes. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.